Now, if you're an entrepreneur, I want you to hear this mind-blowing statistic. Up to 72% of entrepreneurs in the US are suffering from direct or indirect mental health challenges. Now, this study was undertaken in 2021 by the National Institute of Mental Health. And whilst it is US-based, there have been studies in other parts of the world, and these yield higher numbers, up to 82%. In South Africa, I'm not aware of any official stats at this point in time, but I wouldn't be surprised if our statistics yield a higher number, because we as entrepreneurs here are facing local economic challenges for many various reasons. Personally, I've been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades, and I've probably failed more times than I've succeeded. But over the last 2.5 years, I have faced some of the greatest challenges. And if it wasn't for working with emotional agility, I don't think I would have been where I am today. Now, let me just pause for a moment and ask you, what does emotional agility mean to you? Well, for me, it is about being mindful of and working with my emotional states, which allows me to be agile enough to navigate the twists and turns that this very challenging environment has been throwing at me. Now, working with emotional agility has also allowed me to maintain a mental health, which is a lot more healthier than it would be if I didn't. And this has also allowed me to maintain my energies where I can then focus on what I can control and to let go of what I cannot, so I can achieve my goals. Now, I know I'm not alone when it comes to navigating the twists and turns of this highly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment we find ourselves. So I'd like to share with you 3 very important and highly interrelated points that'll help you develop your emotional agility. And please stay with me, because at the end, I do have something to offer you. It is free, and it will help you to continue working with this emotional agility. So the first point, developing emotional agility requires that we accept that uncertainty is part of the ride as an entrepreneur. Now, yes, you may say, well, yeah, consciously I know there's no such thing as certainty. But here's the thing, our deep subconscious will perceive uncertainty as a threat, like that saber-toothed tiger that our ancestors once faced. And our subconscious will hold sway over our conscious thinking. And what makes matters worse is that we step into this unknown future and we fill the gaps of what we do not know with narratives, with stories. And these stories tend to the negative, and they're also usually based on assumptions. And what happens ultimately, when left unchecked, these stories create an illusion of a threat that looms larger than life, and we might find ourselves living in a horror story. Now, I've also discovered that when I resist uncertainty and I try and hold on to some form of certainty, I prevent my mind from being open to change, which usually leaps out of nowhere, and I end up being that proverbial deer that is stuck in those headlights, not being able to see the path ahead. This leads to the second point, to accept that with uncertainty comes its ever-loyal companion, discomfort. I know discomfort very well. It's accompanied me throughout my entrepreneurial life, and I think it does for all entrepreneurs who are challenging themselves, growing their businesses. Now, it's important not to shove this discomfort into the shadows, to ignore it, because it is perfectly human to feel discomfort when you are facing uncertainty. And what happens is, as we try and shove it into the shadows to try and numb it, it's like sweeping that dirt under the carpet. What happens is that dirt forms a mound, and we end up tripping over that mound. And this can lead to us becoming reactive, where we make the wrong business decisions, or we could end up saying things to people that we really care about or who support us in our endeavors. Now, this leads to the third point. Emotional agility is where we pay attention to our emotional states. We acknowledge them and we feel them. And this may require that we actually give them a specific name. We say, well, right now I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling a fear of uncertainty. I'm feeling sadness. Something didn't work out. And it's different from generalizing. So often we'll say, I'm just feeling stressed. But as we give them a specific name, we then are in a better position to understand what are they expressing. You see, emotions demand expression, whether we address them or not. They will come out. If you are feeling discomfort and you're not paying attention to it, you might want to blame someone to discharge that discomfort. So emotional agility is where we give them that name. We then ask ourselves, what is this emotional state demanding of me? What does it require of me? Do I need to rest? Do I need to maybe address something? And of course, it's important how you address it. Or maybe what is worrying me is out of my control. And then we have to work at letting go of what is out of our control. And this then allows us to focus our energies on what we can control. It is a vulnerable and courageous process. And most people will say to me, well, Colin, it's easier said than done. Well, yes, developing emotional agility does require patience, practice, and perseverance. And this is why the Beyond Thinking team has provided you with this free course, Developing Your Emotional Agility. It is a subset from our flagship course, Managing Your State of Wellbeing, and it provides you with way more depth than what we've discussed over the last few minutes. You'll also be provided with a workbook, and you'll be guided as you develop your emotional agility. Now, as a bonus, I'll also be providing you with some free time to talk sessions. This will be on Zoom. And for those who've registered, you'll be invited to join me. It's all free. And yeah, we'll look at some questions and answers, as well as discuss some other concepts you may want me to discuss. So I do hope you join us. And until we chat again, take care and stay aware.